This is the longest time that it's taken to go live. There we fucking go. Right as I say it, this is the longest time for it to go live. So, good evening, everyone. Though potentially we're starting out with a grand total audience of fucking 0. But if you did happen to find out that we're on our backup channel, good evening. How are you doing tonight? The minion with me this evening is Adam.
Hello.
And of course, I'm the keeper for this Friday evening, Sanguine. How are you doing tonight, Adam?
Um well, um okay.
You just found out that we got bopped right
y-
before we went live.
okay. Yeah, I'm kind of perplexed about this because I did see Johnny Hellcat say that his um episode or show was flagged for age restriction. And
Yes.
and then I saw in our meeting area Hammer saying that we got
Yep. We
striked,
got a struck. Or
and
strike. We got a strike because we were struck.
well, okay, so we have to, so we can't stream live on our original channel, and we have to revert to this backup channel. Is that
Yep.
what's going on?
So every time that you get a strike, it bans you from being able to stream for a specific amount of time. Depending on the type of strike, it's a different amount of time. I think this is one of the 2 week strikes.
Oh, nice.
So for the next 2 weeks or so, we won't be able to stream on our standard channel because we started talking about the. Let's see, what's the best way of referring to it? Because if you refer to it by name,
Dude,
then that.
and then they're gonna flag this channel, and let's look.
Yeah,
We
if you
said some
refer to
bad
it by
words.
name, then you get struck. But there have been a couple of ways that I've referred to it that haven't had us get bopped yet. So let me go for one of those. I'll just say the pandemic. We mentioned something about the pandemic. What we mentioned, I'm not going into, but we mentioned something about the pandemic. And due to that, we got a strike. We aren't able to actually put out anything on our main channel for the next 2 weeks. So we're using our backup streaming channel for the interim or the individual keepers' channels. It depends on what the keeper feels like. So some are streaming to their own channels, some are streaming to the backup. I'm streaming to the backup because if we have a backup, that's the fucking point of it, right?
Yeah, I wasn't aware that we had a backup channel to begin with.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, we do. We have MotZ Strems.
huh?
That's the name of the channel. It's
Oh,
MotZ, I believe, underscore, and then a misspelling of streams, as is so common nowadays. Because a lot of people refer to streams as strems. But yes, that is the reason why we're on our backup channel. Because we've been bopped for being no good and talking about things that our betters say that we aren't allowed to speak about.
now how are we? Are we even broadcasting this anywhere? Are we having any sort of like? Does Beth know?
Well, we've broadcasted to our backup channel. I've shot out links to two of our main shillers for the channel. So
Chumpters.
hopefully
I like to say
hopefully they
announcers.
appropriately shill it.
Yeah.
And if Assassin of the Grey is out there, thank you very much. And if Keeverdam is out there, thank you very much. That was the reason why I shot you the link, because yeah, we aren't on our standard channel because bullshit.
And we'll have to I mean, if it's gonna be what, 2 weeks, I
I
think
think
we
it's
can.
normally 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, I think we should jot down the link so that we can add it to the description, at least for the time being. Um,
Sure.
Only because, look, I
It's
didn't say
bullshit that we
anything.
have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
I don't
Addy.
know.
How it goes.
Figure
And
out how to do the backup or something, or I'll probably
Addy
just
and
do it on my own
Costin
channel.
and anyone else that's out there, do be so kind as to show this shit, because as we were just talking about, we got bopped for, I think this is the third time getting bopped.
Is it
I think it's the third time getting bopped for the same fucking shit.
3P? Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah. One time we made the mistake of quoting, I can't remember whether it was we quoted the CDC or we quoted the WHO, but we cited one of those two. And because the other one disagreed, we got bopped for reasons.
Hmm.
And then we got bopped one of the times that we were talking about meta-analyses from various scientific journals on this issue. And then we got bopped on Wednesday for talking about it as well.
So I think there's a pattern here. You know, I'm personally, I've been astute in patterns, and so this kind of runs up my alley. And holy shit, if we speak about this medical stuff, we get bopped.
Apparently, and I'm loath to concede to that because I currently work in a medical lab.
Oh no. Dun, 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 dun,
I
dun.
was an EMT. I've been in medical care for quite some time. And if there's anything that history has ever taught us, a suppression of information is not the way that you get the right answer.
Not at all. Wait, is it 1888? That's the numbers? Wow.
Yes, we're currently at 1888, which it seems like with how YouTube handles shit, we're in probably the 1288s, maybe the 1388s. We definitely haven't even reached the 1488s because that was mid Renaissance, and the Renaissance was a bit more liberal in its thought, shall we say.
Oh, I was talking about the episode number.
Oh, yes, I mentioned the episode number, and then I was referring to the years after that.
Oh, my bad.
Because, yeah, 1888. Well, I guess 1888 would have been too late. That would have been more. 1788 would have been. Actually, that still would have been too late in order to be the witch trials. But yes, we are currently at episode 1888, unless my math is off.
You know what? When I when I run Monday Night Mayhem, I'm gonna put it at 1888.
Let me quickly double check because now I'm going. Did I do math wrong,
No, I'm gonna
or did
do
I fat
18.
finger
I'm
shit?
gonna do 1888 in principle, because then Hammer's gonna get upset and he's gonna shake his fist and be like, "Hey, who the hell's repeating these numbers?" And I'm gonna be like, "Hey, dude, we got 2 weeks off."
Okay, I just double checked and I did not fat finger because we were at 1886 when we got bopped, which means that 1887 was yesterday. So yes, it is indeed 1888.
My, how time flies! It is 1888.
Yeah,
Play some
gave me a
Hellcat.
pause there because I'm going, oh god, did I fuck up the numbers this time? The number of times that we fucked up numbers. It's just add 7, people. It's add 7.
Well,
But
come on, man. We don't want to add any more stress onto the audience that needs be. Uh, Math, I think, is way out there.
Math should not be stressful,
Shouldn't. I
but we
mean, it
do
is
have
for me.
absolute shit schooling when it comes to math and science in particular.
Well, there's more important subjects to learn about.
Like oppression and bullshit.
Uh, You know what? I didn't say it.
No, you didn't. I said it, and I said it without even a moment's hesitation because it's absolutely what they fucking teach. They do bullshit narratives of oppression that don't actually hold up when you know the proper fucking history, which is infuriating because, yeah, that's not how shit works. That's never how shit works. Just fucking stop. Stop doing the insane shit. Stop talking absolute codswallop. Just
Hold on. Whoa,
fucking.
whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on, hold on. Are we still technically, yeah? Oh, are we still technically? Are we
Are you
still
also going to be
technically?
asking about picnic baskets here in a moment?
Well, that was more of a Popeye thing. But are we still in the beginning of this? Right?
Yes, we're still in the beginning.
Okay. So, what'd you cook for dinner, sir?
Oh, dinner. I had an absolutely fantastic dinner of a baked potato. I had dilled and then salted salmon. And then I went for a. Are you familiar with the Guinness breweries? I added an
Uh,
S because there's the main Guinness brewery, which everyone knows, St. James Gate in Dublin. But the Guinness breweries actually have a secondary location, which is their experimental brewery, which is in America.
and where is that
That is
per
Open
se?
Gate Brewery, which is in Baltimore, Maryland.
Ooh. You know what? I think not next year, but the year uh after that. Um, that's our next Minions meetup. Boom, boom.
Baltimore, Maryland. Are we going to experience the rats firsthand?
Well, that and some Guinness.
True.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
Guinness is absolutely delicious. And Open Gate does have some fantastic brews, though it also has the only Guinness that I've ever consumed that I've gone, fuck this shit, I'm out. Because at one point, the Open Gate Brewery decided to do an American lager. And they succeeded in the worst fucking way. Because they managed to make Bud Light, but Guinness Bud Light. So it was a black spot to the Guinness name. That was the Guinness American Lager. But they've done a lot of really lovely beers since. Like there was a Open Gate Guinness Mint that I had not terribly long ago, which tasted like Thin Mints in the best possible way.
Thin Mints.
Thin Mints, the Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, wait. But then you said worst possible way.
No, I said the best possible way.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was gonna say like, yeah. How does that work out? Because Thin Mints are fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was this chocolatey Guinness with this nice minty undertone that tasted exactly like Thin Mints. It was fucking amazing. I love that shit. Then they also released a new beer that I just saw for the first time, which is their old fashioned inspired ale. So it's using Guinness yeast, of course.
Mhm.
But then it's aged in Kentucky bourbon barrels. And it has hints of orange and cherry. And it is really fucking good. So I had a bottle of that with my salmon and baked potato, as well as some sauteed pickled asparagus. With that, I had a Distiller's Select Woodford Reserve Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey, which was absolutely fucking fantastic. It is a very, very smooth rye whiskey, but it still has that nice, almost pepperiness that rye gives. That slight spice note. Very fucking nice. And
Yeah, it's
then,
kind of like it wants to be spicy, but it's not really spicy. You
yeah,
know,
it's spicy without the real spice burn, I think would be the
it's
best
not
way of
it's not
expressing it.
yeah it's not so much spicy. It's just a tickle.
Yeah,
You know, it's a ticklish type of feeling. Um, but it doesn't have the heat or or like I want to say flavor, but I
it
don't
doesn't
know.
have the prolonged burn. It gets a very short burn,
Yeah,
but it's not the bad alcohol burn. It's more of that capsaicin like burn, only it's very, very short lived, which works out nicely. So I do like a rye whiskey. But then I also did 2 fingers of an Irish whiskey that I just purchased yesterday. And it was the first time really drinking it, which is the Dead Rabbit Irish whiskey.
the I mean, shit. This is supposed to be the year of the rabbit.
Yes, and I fucking killed it and drank it apparently.
Yeah, dude. Well, we're off to a good start, and it's Friday the 13th.
But
How
yeah,
do we? You know, and I
uh,
haven't heard from Terry, so it's not a good sign.
yep. But yeah, Dead Rabbit Irish whiskey, fairly nice. It's a little bit harsher than a standard Irish whiskey. So standard Irish whiskey would be like a Jameson or Whistler, which are very, very fucking smooth. They're water on the tongue, water in the throat, and then they hit your belly and they bloom beautifully, despite their low cost. Because both of those are very affordable types of whiskey. Both of them rather tasty types of whiskey. This one has more burn than that, but it has a decent flavor all around, despite the more burn. And it has a slightly strange burn because it's water in the mouth, water down the throat, and then almost immediately after it passes each, you get this slight warmth that passes through both of them, which has a slight tingle to the warmth. So it isn't harsh by any stretch, but it just has a bit more of that mouth feel than
Dude,
you really expect in an Irish whiskey.
it sounds like you're drinking a cocktail where you swallow the water, and then the oil follows right after.
Yeah, there's just something about it that it very slightly warms the throat, warms the tongue with that slight tingle that's almost that alcohol
Oh,
burn, but not quite that alcohol burn. Oh, yes. Do we have a link to the Rumble, which we're still trying to get the 100 followers in order to be able to stream over there? I think I copied one of my old ones that did not have the Rumble link. Let me see if I can quickly snag the Rumble link, though.
yes, we always need some backup headquarters or barracks to be able to fall back. Uh,
Especially with how frequently we end up getting nuked because we say something
I can't
that
believe that we got
we aren't
nuked
allowed to
for
say.
this bullshit. Yeah, especially when like you have a fucking quiz every Sunday now. You know, fuck you, Susan. And
And I'll just keep this
They've never been
displayed throughout.
flagged. Unbelievable. I don't know.
Yep. But yeah, the Dead Rabbit, rather nice. I do recommend it. It is a delicious whiskey, even with that slight warmth and tingle that it produces. When I'm drinking an Irish whiskey or when I'm drinking a Scotch, what I really look for is just water on the tongue, water on the tonsils, hit the belly, get that nice bloom. That, for people that don't know what I mean when I say the bloom, I mean when you drink a good whiskey, it should be that water tongue, water tonsils, hit the belly, and then the moment that hits the belly, you should feel this radiating warmth that, let's take the bottom side first. It'll creep down through your abdomen, out through your hips, down your legs, down your knees, your calves, out to your fucking toes, and your entire lower body will just be warmed by that creeping warmth. And then in the chest, so the upper section, it should hit the stomach, then it should start to creep up. It'll creep up through your chest, through your shoulders. It'll go down your arms, through your bicep, through your forearm, into your very fucking fingertips, as it also creeps up your neck, up your cheek, up to your eyes, up to your forehead, and just fills your entire body with this hug from the fucking inside. The belly bloom is what you really look for in a good whiskey. So Dead Rabbit does get a nice bloom. I won't knock it for that. It's just that little bit of additional warmth and slight tingle on the tongue and throat. But that's what I had after having my bourbon. Well, not my bourbon, my rye whiskey and my old-fashioned inspired ale from Open Gate Guinness Brewery, which is their Baltimore, Maryland brewery rather than their St. James Gate, which is the mainline brewery. And it was a delicious fucking dinner.
Well, it certainly sounded like it. Won't lie.
But have you heard any interesting news as of late, Adam?
I don't know. What kind of news do you want to go through?
Any sort that struck your fancy or earned your ire? Because there has been quite a lot happening on in the world as of late. From the House representation being decided and a series of different investigative groups made within the House, which are rather promising.
The committees?
Yep, the investigative committees. Then there's the absolute bullshit from Biden, who, when it came out that Trump had declassified a shit ton of documents and then taken them home, which he said he was going to when he declassified the documents.
But in all fairness, Biden did have his Corvette locked in his garage. So, I mean, there is that. Come on.
Yeah, somehow I'm more concerned with the person that did not have unilateral ability to decide whether or not something was a
No. But
classified bit of information.
he wasn't going to let anybody tamper with his beloved Corvette. It's behind lock and key. Come on, man.
But at the same time, he had, what was it, 2 offices now that have been found to have had secret and top secret documentation.
Wait, two offices and then his Delaware home or his Delaware home and then his think tank?
I think it was the Delaware Home Office, then it was the think tank office. Though they're also now looking into, are there any other fucking offices? Because we found 2 of them, and you were surprised that shit was in those 2. So what else have you given?
Damn. You know what's crazy is, and you know what? Okay, I'm not gonna say it. Um,
Give
we'll,
it a go. Let's see.
no, we'll wait till everything's clear because
You don't
I'm
want to
not
get the
I'm
backup
not
channel nuked
suicidal.
while we're
No.
relying on it.
Um, yeah, I'm thinking about the backup channel. No, but it is kind of crazy that all that's going on. And still seeing people making excuses for it.
Yeah.
It's baffling.
And the part that I find particularly amusing to my perspective is how hard he came out against. It's unbelievable the way that Trump handled the documents when he had the ability to unilaterally, and he did unilaterally, go, yeah, this shit's no longer classified. It's all good to go. So that was cleared up immediately. There's no question about that. The president has the ability to unilaterally render a secret document no longer secret, render a top secret document no longer top secret. They can just go, yep, this is all perfectly fine. Everyone can know about this. And suddenly it's all perfectly fine. Everyone can know about it. That's a presidential power. That's a power of the executive that only the president holds, not the vice president, only the president. So the fact that they were freaking out about Trump having used that ability to say, yeah, everything that I take is perfectly fine. It's not secret. It's not top secret. It doesn't fucking matter. It's all declassified. That absolutely presidential power, absolutely above board. But then Biden came out and started going through the, well, if I can't believe that a president was so ridiculous that he allowed himself to take these documents home. Well, okay, so what if it was a vice president that didn't have that unilateral power, that didn't have the ability to decide that, hey, this shit's all above board? What would you say about that person? Oh, you'd say that that's perfectly fine? That's a bit strange that the person without the power to unilaterally declassify doesn't have any problem with them taking secret documents and top secret documents, but the person who does have the power to unilaterally declassify did unilaterally declassify, making it so that none of the documents that he had were top secret or secret. Him taking home documents, that was fucked up. Yeah, you're a goddamn joke.
Yeah, it's kind of goofball fucking mentality there.
It's absolute clown world logic. There's no other way around it. There's no explanation that leads to, oh yeah, that makes sense. All of it's, what the fuck are you talking about? This makes no sense. What the fuck are you talking about? And that's the part that absolutely kills me. That there are people that were saying it was ridiculous that a president, who again, I cannot stress this enough, I cannot say this too many times to my mind, has the unilateral power, meaning that they don't need to get anyone else to co-sign it. They don't need to get anyone else to say, yep, this is good to go. They have the power in and of themselves with no additional supervision or weigh-in to say, this information is classified. This information is declassified. Trump went, this information is declassified. Then he took declassified information home. Declassified information doesn't need a security clearance. Doesn't need anything to be done. It's a document that fucking anyone has access to. This is standard goddamn information. But they flip shit about, oh, we might have declassified information, which they said was classified, except he declassified all the information. We have the documentation saying that he declassified all the information. So none of it was classified because he, when he had the unilateral power, said, yeah, none of this is classified.
Yes, it's kind of crazy way that they're going about it.
Yeah, it's absolute insanity. And
But why? That's
well, why?
Should we all be wearing tinfoil hats now?
It's completely partisan politics, and it's hackery at the best of hackery.
Yep.
That's the entire reason. That's the entire logic. It is the vote blue no matter who mentality taken to the nth degree.
Did you see the one politician going after Gates and he had to be pulled back?
Yeah.
Dude, this is clown world.
Yeah, a dude who has been trying to cultivate this tough man bullshit persona lunged at Matt Gaetz because Matt Gaetz was doing what Matt Gaetz thought he should do, and which I agree he should have done.
Mm-hmm.
Which was, no, we don't have any reason to believe that you're going to do the right thing, so we're going to withhold our votes from you until such time as you give sufficient concessions to us that we go, okay, you know what? Fine. We'll vote for you. You've given us these concessions. You've made it so that this shit works out. Fine. Absolutely. You get our vote now. But if you step sideways, if you don't do this shit that you're supposed to do, well, we're going to bugger you over a barrel, and we'll have absolutely no mercy about it. Abso-fucking-lutely. That's how that shit should be done. That's always how that shit should be done.
Well, yeah. Makes no sense. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
Being held accountable for what the actions you do as you're being a representative of a people from a district. Like, this is, yeah, no, that's your job.
Yeah. It's kind of like how I get ever more pissed off at the, well, the representatives have to have a DC home. No, they fucking don't.
No, they don't. You know, and actually, I would say that the fact that they have to go and from their own purse travel to DC to conduct business, that would humble them 100% more.
See, the one thing that I will say is that when it comes to a lot of the problems that we're having with Congress, it is somewhat similar to a lot of the problems that I saw in corrections, which was there is a pay issue when it comes to Congress. I will admit this. I will say that that is an issue. But the thing is that you need, if you just increase the pay, it wouldn't solve the problem because the greedy bastards that are currently in the political class would still be there, and then they would just benefit from the pay increase. And yes, we got another strike, Keeverdam. We got another strike for mentioning the pandemic in a less than glowing light.
How's it going, Keeverdam? Keeverdam. I got it.
Yes.
See, I can say it. I just can't type it. So,
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
how you doing?
When it comes down to it, we should probably be paying our representatives and our senators more. But increasing their pay would not solve the problem currently. What we need to do is we need to get rid of a lot of the current political class and then increase the pay, making it so that the new people that we have are actually able to sustain themselves. Because with the current pay, it does, to a certain degree, inspire increased corruption. But when you already have corrupt people, just giving them more pay does not reduce corruption because they just think that they can get more.
Well, one, I would say giving them the ability to increase their pay is something that they shouldn't have. But the other thing is, we should allow them, we should pay them enough that they can afford their 4 giant refrigerators filled with chocolate ice cream.
Well, see, the
Uh,
thing is that we don't pay her enough to do that.
mhm.
She gets her money from
Well,
other
no,
venues,
no, no, no,
shall we
no, no,
say.
no, 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 no. We pay her enough.
No, we don't.
No, I know where you're going, but look, I
We
don't want ninjas
categorically do
throwing
not.
ninja stars at me.
We categorically do not pay her enough to afford the shit that she buys. It's already documented that she more than, what was it, tripled her net worth in the past couple years alone.
Mm-hmm.
We do not pay her enough to triple her net worth in the past couple years alone. We pay her a very, very fucking good wage when you compare it to a lot of other jobs. But we don't pay her enough to do that. And like I said, there is still a certain point where we should be looking at, do we need to pay them more? Because if we want quality people, we have to pay for quality people. That's a truism when it comes to anything.
But then you have to suss out the quality people.
That's the rub of it. Because the current problem is we don't have quality people. We need to first replace the shit people with people that are of better quality. Then we can talk about increasing their pay. And then we talk about replacing the better quality people with people of the quality that we actually desire. The best quality people.
Okay, so immediately my brain went to a quote of "Let the boy earn his spurs," but I think a better one would have been something about like the gold is assigned from the filter or something like that. You toss the minerals in the furnace and the gold comes out, something like that. Like there was a
Oh, the slag rises to the top.
is that what it is?
So
Something like
when you're
that.
dealing with metallurgy, slag tends to pool on top, so you scrape the slag off in order to get the true.
Yeah, something like that. Going into yeah, I think it was metallurgy. Um, but it also could be the cream of the crop.
It could be
Hmm.
something along the lines of skim the slag or spoil the metal. Is that along the lines of what you were thinking?
Well, it was something about gold for some reason. I don't remember.
Well, there's slag and
The
gold as well.
yeah, the fire
Slag just
burns away
means,
the imperfections.
oh yeah, fire purifies effectively.
Purifies. There you go. Haha. From our satellite channel at the Minions, you can't stop us, Susan. So, um, to quote Quizzo, fuck you,
And
Susan.
thank you, WR Costin. Yes, don't forget to like this stream and to share it on the Twitter.
Yes. And
Remember to
also,
show this channel as well as the Rumble channel. And the
yes.
Rumble channel is currently the link that is displayed underneath the video. So if you type that shit in to your search bar, it will navigate you there. And we are still trying to get to the 100 subscribers in order to be able to live stream over there.
Yes, if we get 100% in subscribers on Rumble, we will do that. 40, let's just remind you, you'll get a picture of some feet. But I will say,
Those feet.
you look, you gotta, dangle a carrot at some point,
I still stand by my question of whose feet are we sending?
Okay, look, yeah, at this point, it's a mystery. It's a mystery of feats. It might be one foot is one person's, the other foot is another person's. You never know. But at
So there's
40,
even a
you'll get feet.
possibility for mismatched feet? Okay.
I cannot promise you anything other than feet. You want a toe? I'll give you a toe. But yes, check us out on Rumble, and hopefully we won't get booted off of our main YouTube again, based off our misinformation. Fucking ridiculous.
Which is citing documented sources. Every fucking time it's citing documented sources.
Yeah, and hey, since we're on this backup channel, spread this one too. Shit.
Yep.
That way, it's not like dude. When we started the show, it felt like we just kicked on the lights in a storage unit that we hadn't kicked on for a while. It was like, dude, are we still
Everything
gonna
is
get power?
slow to light on, and we're just sitting there for a moment going, well,
All right.
shit.
So, I think I hear the AC going. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. No, that's not. That's next door. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Oh,
But yeah.
jeez. Okay.
When it comes down to it, like I said, we probably should consider increasing the pay of Congress. But first, we need to deal with the
we gotta
rats
lessen the
that
number of counts.
infest. Well, we need to deal with the rats that currently infest Congress.
And there's a
we
lot
don't
of
need to lessen the number. We just need to get rid of the rats and get actual people in Congress. Then we can talk about increasing the pay, because what we want is we want the best people actually looking at it as a means of doing what they want. And I think a good chunk of that comes down to something that I've said many times before. Everyone needs to start voting in a fashion of shit or get off the pot. And what I mean by that is, if someone says that elect them so that they can XYZ, if they don't XYZ, and they aren't constantly pushing to do so, well, don't vote for them again. You gave them the chance. They failed to live up to the chance. So just leave them the fuck alone. Don't vote for them again. If they made a good, honest effort, and you could tell that they were making a good, honest effort, but it didn't quite go through, then yeah, vote for them again. If they succeeded, and they don't have something else that they're saying, I did XYZ, and now I'm trying to do QRS, then don't fucking vote for them. If they have no fucking point, they shouldn't goddamn be there.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And if they aren't living up to what they say that they're going to do, they shouldn't goddamn be there. So take on a mentality of shit or get off the pot with all of your representatives. If they aren't doing what they said that they were meant to do, unask them. And if it seems like they're just trying to find things that they can promise to do after their original set, also unask them. Because we don't want to have people that are constantly trying to find work. The most dangerous thing on earth is a government employee trying to find work. It's the same shit that we've experienced with pretty much every group that is causing us headaches right now. There was a point to the original feminists. They didn't do everything right. I'm not saying that the original feminists did everything right or that they were 100% correct, but there was at least a point to them. They succeeded in that point. And then there was the second wave, which kind of took it a little bit further, but it still was a point that, yeah, women should be allowed to work if they want to work. Sure, women should be allowed to work if they want to work. That's a valid point. But then after that, it became, well, women get paid differently because women make different choices. Yeah, that's how fucking pay works. You make a different choice, you get a different pay. Fuck you. That isn't something that we should be rallying behind. That isn't something that we should be supporting. That's something that should have immediately been the death knell of the movement. When you had a bunch of people saying that, hey, we have Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow laws need to be gotten rid of. Absolutely. Jim Crow laws need to be gotten rid of. But Jim Crow laws needing to be gotten rid of, then got rid of Jim Crow laws. Well, people think that this group commits more crimes than that group. Well, do they? Well, yeah, but it's racist to think that they do. Fuck you. That's not how that works. That should have been a death knell. We have a bunch of different groups. We have a bunch of different organizations that have been constantly trying to find work to justify their own existence. And when a group starts trying to justify its own existence, starts trying to find work to justify its own existence, that should be a goddamn death knell, because that never pays off. It's never the group that's trying to justify its own existence that does something of any real meaning. It's the group that has a clear reason. They state their reason. And then once their reason's done, once they've outlived their utility, they should dissolve. At most, have a watchdog element that just makes sure that there's no backslide. And you see this a lot with Second Amendment groups. You have Second Amendment groups that form up and fight back against policies that are dealing with curtailing the Second Amendment. But when the Second Amendment isn't in danger, the Second Amendment groups shrink. And they reliably shrink because their entire fucking thing is fighting for the Second Amendment. If the Second Amendment's being threatened, yeah, we're going to mobilize. If it isn't being threatened, then we're going to contract because we can't justify our existence without that being
the entirety of the thing,
threatened.
Yeah.
And that's how every civil rights group should be. It should be that every civil rights group only exists when what they're dealing with is being threatened. And like I said, they can have a watchdog group because Second Amendment groups tend to be watchdog groups when shit's going fairly decent. They pull back and they get a much smaller group that is just kind of keeping an eye on everything, making sure that this shit doesn't get rolled back.
Damn.
Oh, yeah, I will agree with you that there are laws that are still on the books that are infringements of the Second Amendment. But I stand by my claim that the Second Amendment groups, they cycle up and they cycle down. And they cycle up and cycle down reliably.
What do you mean cycle up and cycle down?
So when there's a direct challenge to the Second Amendment groups grow massively. When there isn't the direct threat, then they tend to shrink. And if it's an old direct threat that they've already tried to challenge, the support that they get from that shrinks drastically as well, because it is this common thing of, if something has enough history to it, people tend to be more accepting of it, sadly. But that's what I mean. That Second Amendment groups tend to grow when there's a direct issue. But then once that direct issue is handled, they shrink back down.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that. In a lot of, well, in the few chat groups that I've hung around with, it seems to be that way. It's an ebb and flow with that. You'll get people who join in and hang out for a bit, but um, a lot of them will just, shove off to sea and go off, find some other thing to do, and there'll be some people that hang around, and
Yeah,
sometimes they'll
and
hang around and grow with it.
that's a natural thing throughout human existence, that when something has a point, it grows. When it exceeds that point, it should shrink. There's a lot of organizations that then try to make sure that they never shrink by constantly trying to redefine the battleground. And it's when people redefine the battleground that should be a clear signal that, oh, this group has outlived its utility. When you're going for ever more minor shit, Jim Crow, big fucking problem, should be handled, was handled. Microaggressions don't fucking matter one jot or iota. And even the researchers that said that they developed a method of determining the unconscious bias, they weren't able to say that that unconscious bias actually had an effect on anything. When you can't determine if something has an effect, it isn't a goddamn issue.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, dude.
It's infuriating when shit like that happens. And like I said, it keeps on happening in group after group after group. It just needs to be done away with. Let groups that have outlived their utility die. But yeah, have you heard any other news that caught your fancy? Adam? I think you muted yourself if you're still there. I think he was anticipating that that rant would last a bit longer, buying him a bit more time. So, question: if they are micro, then how are these aggressions an issue? It reveals the whole victim is a thin-skinned wussy. Yeah, that's what effectively it comes down to. When a microaggression, when the people that first started trying to categorize and test for microaggressions came out and said that, yeah, so this test might not actually work. And even if it does work, there's absolutely no indication that the person ever puts this idea into practice. Well, then it doesn't fucking matter. if it's never put into practice, if it doesn't inform their actions, it doesn't goddamn matter.
Wait, what did I miss?
I asked if there was anything else that you wanted to, or any other news story that caught your attention. Then I commented on assassins. If they're micro, then how are these aggressions an issue? It reveals the victim is a thin skinned wussy, and I commented on that, saying that, yeah, microaggressions, the researchers that were responsible for developing a test to test for microaggressions and were defining microaggressions, they even said that, yeah, we have absolutely no evidence that these things function in the real world, that these things actually affect anything. A person can have this idea in the back of their mind, but if it's never acted on, it's never acted on. So it doesn't fucking matter.
Oh, so pretty much like it doesn't come into reality, so it's not.
That's my opinion. If it has no appreciable effect on reality, then it doesn't need to be dealt with.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, why waste energy on something that's not there?
Yep.
Why chase ghosts? Don't chase ghosts unless you're a ghostbuster. Then, got to make that money. And
And then you aren't afraid of no ghosts.
well, that's true.
But any other news stories that have caught your interest as of late?
um I don't know. There's a few, but a lot of them seem kind of grim now. I'm looking at them in my mindset, and it's like, I don't want to bring it up on a Friday evening.
Oh shit! Like the
Tornadoes and
the
shootings
tornadoes,
and
the hundreds of cars that were broken into during the Saints
oh yeah.
game, the
Yeah.
fucking there was the related to the hundreds of cars broken into during the Saints game. There was also the Dr. Phil cop or defund the police people versus the anti defund the police people
Hmm.
discussion, which was slightly an embarrassment, but also Dr. Phil weighed in ways that made the defund the police movement look fucking ridiculous, which was absolutely necessary.
The whole thing was strange, to be honest.
Yeah, the one college professor. Well, if someone's actively committing a crime, then you want the police. Why though? The fuck do you mean why though? Because they're actively committing a crime and you want that crime stopped. That's why.
Right? Or no, you don't want the crime stopped.
Apparently that dude didn't because he was confused why anyone would want to call the police when their house is broken into.
Hey man, they probably have insurance. It's all good.
Except that causes insurance rates to increase, which makes it so that insurance is harder to purchase in that area, which makes it so that more people have their insurance lapse, so they don't have insurance, and makes the cost of everything go up until eventually, if it's a business that had insurance that no longer has insurance, or its insurance price has gone up to the point where they aren't able to continue fucking operating, they decide that, yeah, we're just going to close. And then we have people complaining about food deserts because do you know that there's no grocery store in this neighborhood? Well, how many times has that grocery store that was there before there was no grocery store in that neighborhood been raided? How many times was it just looted? Because I'm willing to bet the answer is a fuck ton. And then eventually the grocery store went, yeah, we can't even afford to function in this area, so we're just going to fucking dip.
Dude, that's the fate that befalls a lot of people, you know?
Yep. That's what happens time and again with businesses. Business will open up in an area that's kind of a shitty, shady area. That shitty, shady area will end up driving that business under. And when they drive that business under, they'll then complain that, well, there's no businesses of this type in this area. No shit. You got rid of the businesses in that area. You made it so fucking hard that they can't goddamn function. And when you make it so hard that a business can't function, it goes the fuck somewhere else. That's how it works every goddamn time. There's nothing confusing about that. There's nothing that should baffle someone about that. If you make it so that a business cannot earn a profit in an area, that business is no longer going to be in that area.
Yes.
And it's something that's just absolutely infuriating because it keeps on happening and people keep on being surprised. Like, oh my God, how could have this ever happened? Maybe because the 4 businesses that were in this location before were burned down. Maybe that's why no business wants to operate in this area. Because they're going, I don't want to be business number 5. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, but you gotta, sympathize for the culprits. They have a hard life.
Fuck that. The culprits should be dragged through the streets, beaten with sticks, and then tarred and feathered.
But look, I mean, they were just trying to support their family, and by family, I mean, their fellow dealers with stuff like fentanyl. Hey,
Yeah,
it's modern day Aladdin.
It's something that, fuck that shit. No. You don't get to say, well, you're just trying to get your family by. You weren't stealing diapers. You weren't stealing food. Even if you were, I'd still say, fucking deal
No,
with them.
dude,
Arrest them.
hold on, there's videos of people walking out with like truckloads of detergent and diapers and a whole bunch of other stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, no, it's the black market of these items. And I'm sitting there like, dude, how do you even learn to hook up with a black market of like diapers and shit? How do you
Yeah.
get to the black market of laundry detergent?
Yeah. And I stand by my assessment that it doesn't matter. Even if they are stealing food. No, fuck you, because you're making food more expensive for everyone else.
Well, the food's one thing, but
No, even to my mind, food, there is no exemption. Even if you're just stealing food, fuck you, you're stealing.
no, not to excuse it, but I understand it. But the detergent and stuff like that, I don't understand. Like it's just one of those things where it's like I'd imagine that if you're not finding food, clean clothes is probably like the last thing on your mind. Um, but yeah, no, yeah, I guess that's what they're doing. Um, but the food, yeah, no, hell yeah, to be priority.
Like I said,
You gotta live.
even with food, I'd say fucking arrest them. Because the thing is that every goddamn time they're fucking more people over by what they're doing. And it's never something that you can allow to slide. Because if you allow it to slide, then more people will do it. And I have to eat. Does that mean I'm allowed to fucking steal? No, because I can fucking afford my shit.
Oh yeah, no, I mean the reckless engagement in terms of that. Yeah, I'm all. Yeah, we got to keep law and order, but I wouldn't equate. It's hard to equate that with the other stuff. Um,
I find it very easy to equate because it's all theft. And the thing is that the people that are stealing just food, they are the actual fucking Aladdins. Well, they're making it so that someone else isn't able to feed their kids. So fuck them.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, if the people who are already have their supplements or their supplies and they're not going to go to the store because they were told that the store is closed. If they're not going to go and pluck the corn, the corn is going to be plucked by somebody else. It's just how it is.
And again,
But again, that's like a minuscule thing on it. Like most of the people who were looting and shit were looting non-necessities. So I
yep.
mean, the food stuff. It's not
Yeah, I brought it up as
not argument.
even in the most ridiculous scenario where it is actually they're just stealing food, I still think fuck them, they're stealing. Because what that person is ultimately going to do is they're ultimately going to drive that business under, which means that everyone that currently goes to that business and is getting their food from that grocery store is going to end up getting fucked over because they're not going to be able to get their groceries from that grocery store, which means that they'll have to go further.
Wait. Okay, so blatant statement, and I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, but blatant statement. In terms of stealing food, I think in certain circumstances, I don't think it's wrong. But yeah, I don't think somebody should just walk into a Subway and help themselves to some bread and make themselves a sandwich. Like that. Like I get that. But if the city is in turmoil and somebody goes into a shop and steals some bread, I don't think that's really so much of a fucking crime, to be honest. Like this, hey, they're getting some bread. However, if it's like, oh yeah, people are saying, hey, no, this guy said hands up, don't shoot. Let's go tear up the city. Yeah, I don't think somebody going in and taking a whole bunch of stakes and stuff is, in any sort of right capacity. Uh,
See,
it's a circumstantial thing in terms of food, not
like I said,
anything else.
I take a more draconian view on it. The
Well, you can
the
have your
theft is far more damaging than people like to acknowledge that theft being.
well.
Even
I
when it's
mean,
just
look, dude,
food, it
hold on,
is far more damaging.
dude. If again, if we're talking like the place is in turmoil and the shop has been abandoned and open to looters or rioters or whatever,
If we're
that
talking
that
fucking
that
proper
food is gonna that
post-apocalyptic,
that
then
food
yeah,
is
you
gonna be
get to take
ruined
whatever you
anyways.
fucking take.
So yeah, like
But
there's
if
salvaging the
we are
shit. We
talking
get out of
less,
here.
if we're talking anything less than post-apocalyptic, you're fucking in the Fallout universe
Exactly, dude. You're
going.
talking such a small like somebody just walking into a convenience store and just start robbing the place. Yeah, no, nobody wants that shit.
That
You
is
know.
far more common than the post-apocalyptic universe.
But nobody's talking about the
More
fucking far
people.
more common of somebody going in there and taking a bunch of Doritos and sodas. Like,
That's the thing that people should be talking about. People should be talking about the much more common of the people that say, "Well, I'm just stealing food." No, you aren't.
No, nobody wants that though. Nobody's saying like let them
Except there
do
are
it.
people, that are legitimately saying that. There are people that are constantly saying
Who
that
are these people? Round them up, round all these people who are saying allow these people to just shoplift, and I will personally smack them across their face with my cock. I will do it personally, okay?
I
You
think
line
their
them up
Secret
and I will
Service,
fucking do it right
I
across their
think
fucking
their
face.
Secret
I don't give a fuck.
Service
You line their Secret Service up
bodyguards
right
would be
alongside them. I will do it
rather
right there
upset with
too.
that
I don't give a
because
shit.
AOC has routinely said this shit. Fucking
Good.
everyone in the squad has routinely said this shit. A good
Awesome.
chunk of the Democratic representation has said this shit. That these are people that are just trying to feed their family. So you can't really blame them. You can't really go after them. And no, even if you're stealing food, fuck you, you're stealing.
Dude,
The
you
one
realize
exception that I
you
will
realize
give
you
is post-apocalyptic Fallout fucking universe style bullshit. Then
you
yeah,
realize
go
you
for it.
realize that you're playing in to this like Wonderland fucking scenario. These are incidences that happen in cities. And we all know that these cities are run by goofballs like AOC.
Yep.
So again, this is a nothing fucking thing. This is not something that is like the normal fucking American is concerned about. That's why I said line them up. I'll fucking be happy to smack them across the face with my cock. Fuck these people, dude. These people
Except
are nobody.
this shit is constantly expanding. Because a decade ago, this was something that we would only ever think of when we were thinking of New York and California.
We're only thinking about it now because we're letting them think about it now. That we're letting you are letting them fucking get to you. That's the only reason
No,
why this is fucking being a thing.
no, that's not the reason. The reason is because now this is expanding into pretty much fucking everywhere. It's become a fairly common thing, not just in New York, not just in California, which, yes, they're shitholes. We all write them off as shitholes.
Hey, don't
But
forget Chicago. Chicago's a shithole too.
Chicago as well. Yeah, this is happening in Chicago as well. But this is also spilling out into the suburbs of all those areas, into the surrounding states of all those areas. This is happening within fucking 15 miles of me as we goddamn speak. This
Yes.
isn't just something that is a made up bullshit problem that people are bringing up to be angry about something.
No, but there were people who were arguing this case uh years ago and nobody said shit. So I don't know what the fuck. What do you want me to say now? Like we warned you before, and
Yeah,
now that
and
it's
I'm
fucking
saying that
hitting your shores, like what the fuck?
I'm definitely saying that this is something that we've warned about before, and this is something that people need to wake up to, and this is something that people need to become less accepting of. The idea that, well, they're just stealing for their family. No, fuck that. It doesn't goddamn matter. It doesn't matter if they're just stealing food. They're stealing. And when they steal, it makes it so that more people will go hungry. This is the cause of food deserts when people start talking about food deserts. Food deserts aren't a thing because people are going, well, I don't want to sell that neighborhood food. No, food deserts are a thing because that neighborhood, which is currently in a food desert, drove every grocery store anywhere near it out of business. And they drove it out of business by theft or damage. So businesses started looking at those areas and going, fuck that, I'm not taking that cost. And they started to go elsewhere. And now we have a bunch of people complaining, well, this area is a food desert. Yeah, it's a food desert because the people that live there decided to make it a food desert. It's not a food desert because people are trying to starve them. It's a food desert because the people there acted in such a way that no business could continue providing them food. And that is an important thing to note. That's an important thing to actually realize. That it's the idea that poverty doesn't drive crime, crime drives poverty. Because there have been times when the wealth of an area has been increasing and then crime increases. There's been times when the wealth of an area has been decreasing and then crime increases. There's times when the spread of the area, so the difference between the poorest and the richest, has increased and crime increased, and times when that spread has decreased and crime increased. The one thing that has always been a tried and true thing, as crime increases, once crime increases, the wealth of an area decreases. Crime drives poverty. Poverty doesn't drive crime.
Yes. These are all well intended statutes. And we must observe them in the same light as the reality that we are unfortunately faced upon. So it's an accelerated rate. We don't get the luxury of adapting to it slowly. They're just being pushed on us quicker. And again, that's how it is. I don't think we have enough hours in the night to go into my theories as to why we are accelerating this stuff. But hey, that's...
Well, I think that it's just social decay, as well as there's a certain element that are accelerationists.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a large element, sadly, that doesn't realize that just because something is right within or from one school or another doesn't mean that everything in that school is right. And that you can accept what is correct. You can accept what is right. And then reject what is incorrect. And that isn't a contradiction. That isn't a problem. That isn't something that, well, you're being dishonest in your thought because you recognize that this was a problem in this, but you don't agree with the solution. No, you can recognize the correct things and you can reject the incorrect things. This is something that is part of the reason why I say that people should read Letters from a Stoic. Have you ever read Letters from a Stoic, by the way, Adam?
I have not.
I think you would really enjoy it, especially when you learn the history surrounding it. So have you heard of Letters from a Stoic before?
I have heard of it.
So
just in passing, though.
The general information about Letters from a Stoic is that it's the collected letters from Seneca, which is a name that probably rings a bell with you since you're a massive fan of the Roman Empire. So Seneca, for those who don't know, served through 3 of the worst Roman emperors in fucking history. Because he first started serving in the government under, I believe it was Caligula, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And then it went from Caligula to one of the other seas. It wasn't Commodus, it was the other one that was a fucking madman.
I mean, that whole period was...
Oh, yeah, but it was Caligula, this other one, which I'm blanking on the name of for some reason, and then Nero. all three of them absolutely fucking insane. And he was a major Stoic philosopher and thinker. So the letters are throughout his entire life, and he's writing to one of his friends. I think some of them are to another one of his friends, but they're all to various people that he was trying to educate in his school of thought and that he was in constant contact with. So he'd send a letter every couple weeks giving them something to think on. And there's a line that I goddamn fucking love from Letters from a Stoic. And it's like a good 16 or so letters in. And every single letter, he's been citing Epicurus or one of the other philosophers from a competing school of thought in every single letter up to this point. And Seneca starts his letter off with, "You're probably getting rather pissed off at me because I keep on citing all these other philosophers from other schools of thought rather than our own school of thought. And you're probably thinking, what the hell? We aren't Epicureans. Why do you keep on citing Epicurus? We aren't this school. Why do you keep on citing this guy?" The reason is because these things are true. It doesn't matter where they came from. They are true. And since our philosophy is trying to collect everything that's true, is trying to be as accurate as it possibly can be, we cannot care about the origin of something, because if it is true, it must be included in our philosophy for our philosophy to be true. Which, god fucking damn it, that is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, dude. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's something that I think everyone needs to adopt. They need to adopt this thought of...
Well, hold on. I will deter you from that because recently we've come across a thing called My Truth. And My Truth subsedes all of the other realities and truths.
Your
So,
truth is just bullshit. There's no my truth,
no,
your
there's
truth,
My
or
Truth and
the other
the real
man's
truth.
truth. There's the truth.
Look,
and
I'm
that
just going by the lexicon that has been bestowed upon me. Even Webster, I think, has changed their definitions of truth. So, I mean, look, times they are a changing.
I stand by my assessment of I do not give a shit. There is no my truth. There is no your truth. There is no the assassin of the Greys truth. There is no Green Badger outdoors truth. There is the truth. And then there's interpretations of the truth. There's ideas of the truth.
Understandings
But
of the truth.
there's understandings of the truth, but they aren't the truth.
No, but they're not my truth. And my truth is the true truth.
Nah,
Yeah, the true. Wait, the true. Oh, jeez.
the thing about the truth is you have to actually examine the ideas and you have to see whether they're correct. One of the things that really pisses me off about this is communism is effectively a beautiful example of people that think because something was right in an idea, everything must be right. Despite how wrong it has routinely been shown to be. People will pretend like, oh no, because he was right about this analysis. Well, that analysis was then worked into capitalism as well. Well, no, it originated with Marxist thought, so Marx was right on this one very specific aspect, sure, but everything else he was extremely wrong on. Well, no, because he was right about this, so he must be right about... No, that's not how it fucking works. You judge each idea on its own merits. You have to see whether each idea is true in and of itself. If it is, fantastic. Run with that goddamn idea. If it isn't, fuck that idea. It doesn't matter. It is a fart in the wind.
Fart in the wind.
Nice.
All it is farts in the wind.
Facts are the truth. They're synonymous in any reasonable interpretation.
And farts don't kill. Farts don't care about your feelings.
Farts can kill, actually.
Well, that too, but we're trying to be a family-friendly place.
You just have to reach the point where your methane has exceeded or has replaced the oxygen in a room, and then you can kill someone with farts.
Siphon them out. And speaking of which,
concerned by that sound referring to farts.
It's an invert fart. You don't
sounded
know
like
it
you were trying to extract them straight from the source a bit early.
They are, you hear about silent but deadly, but this is kind of a deadlier. We'll discuss this at another time. I will say though, oh shit, you have the Rumble statue. I was gonna say, hey, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. I don't know, should they subscribe? Well, yeah, subscribe to the backup channel.
Yeah.
And check out our Rumble channel.
Subscribe to the backup, subscribe to the Rumble. That way we'll have the ability to, in the future, use the Rumble channel when this shit happens, because apparently this is going to continue happening.
I can't believe they fucking struck us down.
Yeah, they struck us for talking about the pandemic again.
Fucking crazy, dude.
Which is horseshit, especially since the pandemic is fucking over.
Well, supposedly.
Until they want to try to use it for power grabs again.
Yeah. What the hell?
I'm curious what example of telling the truth but not giving facts would be Green Badger.
Huh?
Because to my mind, the truth and facts are virtually synonymous, if not entirely so. So saying that you can give an example of telling the truth but not telling the facts is slightly confusing to me. There's a lot of shit that's just happened recently. There's the good news of the House, which they're going to start looking into shit that they should have been looking into for ages, but were prevented from looking into for ages.
Well, even with that, we'll see. I mean, they're just sending it over to the Senate, so
we'll see what comes of it. But at the very least, looking into it is progress. And I'm not going to begrudge the good for not being perfect.
I don't know, man. I've been watching this shit for a while, and I'm sick of the baby steps. To be honest, I'm really sick of the baby steps.
I can understand that, but if you have enough baby steps in the proper direction, before long you've walked a mile.
Ugh.
You just need to keep them going in the same direction. The problem is that we've had a baby step forward, 2 baby steps back. A baby step forward, 2 baby steps back.
I think the terminology of baby is the issue, and it should be, can we just know when the fuck this ends so we can fucking get there? It'd be much more productive. Um, well, I shouldn't even be saying any of that because that's tinfoil hat stuff and
It's
probably
the
more
mass.
regulated toward my own show.
It's the
Uh,
mass movement of a large group of people. It has to be gradual.
Exodus. Boop, boop, boo, doop, doop, doo, doop, doop, boop, boop. Oh shit! You know what? That is one thing I will say.
And see, you added a caveat there, Green Badger, which makes it so it is not the truth. To someone, this might be the truth, means that it isn't. If you have to preface it with to someone, again, there is no my truth. There is no your truth. There is no the other man's truth. That man over there's truth. There is
No,
just the truth.
no, that is 100% false. Because again, you don't have to believe it; they believe it, and to them, that is their truth. So you
There
can
is
sit there
no
and
their
no,
truth.
you can sit there and say as ridiculous it is ridiculous. It 100%. It's ridiculous to look at it. But to these people, to their reality, that is the truth.
And
You can't dispute that. You
oh,
can
I
offer
absolutely
your
can.
you can offer your truth, and your truth can be 100% correct. But to these people, it's not.
I
Their
absolutely can
truth
dispute
is
that
correct.
because I
And
will dispute it the
that
way
is
that I've been disputing it of there is no your, my,
as
their, his,
crazy
hers truth.
as it sounds. That is the reality. And there's a whole bunch of people who follow this type of crazy reality, and they've managed to gain a lot of power and influence over other people and
And
have
I
spread
disagree.
this mentality.
They
No,
aren't.
this is reality, dude. This is again, you don't have to believe it, but this is the reality of it, dude.
No, I agree that
This
there's a
is
bunch of people that they assert this, but it is a denial of reality when they assert it because truth is synonymous with reality, is synonymous with facts. There is no your truth. There is no my truth. There is no their truth. There is no his truth. There is no her truth. There is the truth. There is no my reality. There is no your reality. There is no their reality. There is no his reality. There is no her reality. There is reality. There is no my facts. There is no her facts. There is no their facts. There is no his facts. There are the facts.
Sanguine. You have constructed yourself a bubble of which you are not able to get out of. That is sad.
It is not a bubble because I'm able to look at and I'm able
Think
to
no,
imagine
think
other
about
ideas.
everything that you just said. You have crafted yourself a shell of which you have envisioned your own reality. But unfortunately, that is just that, your own reality. That you don't have you again, you cannot if there's somebody out there that is sitting there saying if I have to pick out the lint of my belly button every 2 seconds, otherwise the world's going to end, that is their reality. Whatever you have constructed within your bubble of what you
Except
perceive as your
it,
truth, and again, no, what you perceive as your truth, what you perceive as your reality, this person does not agree with it. Therefore, this person is outside of your reality.
if
And
when they don't,
you can sit there and say, hey, you know what, but this is the I have a good chunk of humanity agreeing with me, but this person's still floating out there outside of your reality. This is just how it is.
no,
This
what
is the
you
reality of
just said is that they have a belief. Now, it is reality if they do stop picking their belly button for 2 seconds and everything ends. Then that is absolutely reality that they had to continue picking their belly button every
it.
2 seconds in order for it not to end. But
Otherwise, reality ends.
if they don't pick their belly button for 3 seconds and fucking nothing happens,
Mm-hmm.
then it wasn't reality.
Yeah.
It was their belief. It wasn't reality. And that's what I'm
And
saying. You
their
can have
reality would be shattered, may or may not, or they may formulate
their
a whole
belief
different
would be
reality from it.
shattered. Their belief would be shattered. Reality wouldn't be affected.
Here's the thing, though.
Your beliefs don't
We're
matter a
talking.
goddamn bit to reality.
I chose a belly button picking person to give you a dynamic. Now there's that guy. Now there's the person who is running Pfizer and is pushing drugs on people. Now this person believes in a goat god, and this goat god, he needs to do, he needs to jerk off and then stick a carrot up his asshole every Sunday to make sure that the goat god is appeased. You don't believe that sticking a carrot up his asshole is going to do anything other than sticking a carrot up his asshole. But this dude believes it, and he's in a position of power to push types of drugs and to change commodities within the drug world. This is the dude. This is what I'm talking about. Like you have your reality, and this is it can be sound, it can be 100% correct, but there's other people out there that have their own realities, their own bubbles, and
No, I have my
they
beliefs.
have
They have
they
their beliefs.
have
This is
if
a
they have
very
power and
important
influence,
distinction.
this is more important than whatever realities. This is the point where we have to look at it, and your truth could be very well a golden truth. And this is where we should grow and expand upon it and spread it. We should be sharing this truth because that goes against this guy who's sticking carrots up his ass and what he believes is his truth. And then that way, our truth can sit there and say, hey, you know what? Sticking carrots
And
up your ass is not beneficial to anybody, and we
again,
shouldn't be
I
going with it.
I have to stress that this is not my truth. This is not my reality. It's my beliefs. I do have personal beliefs. And everyone has personal beliefs. There's my personal beliefs. There's your personal beliefs. There's their personal beliefs. There's his personal beliefs. There's her personal beliefs. Personal beliefs everyone has, and they're different. Everyone has their own beliefs. Reality is not something that is individuated in that fashion. Truth
But we
is
don't
not something
understand what
that,
reality is. Nobody understands what reality is. This is the thing you have to
and I'm
understand.
not claiming
Nobody
that you
understands what reality
I'm
is.
not
So when you
claiming that you have to have perfect knowledge of reality. What you do have to be able to do is, in order for something to be determined to be reality, it has to be routinely and reliably tested.
it is what
This
your
is my
brain
belief
is
of
perceiving.
reality,
Again,
but
yes, is your belief.
this is my belief of reality that has to be routinely and reliably tested. But I believe that that belief is closer to reality than contrary beliefs. That is a vital distinction between those ideas. Because reality is not personal. Belief is.
Reality is very
Because
much
someone can
personal.
have an erroneous belief, but it does not change reality. Because if it did change reality, then the person who believes that reality is that they have to pick their belly button every 2 seconds in order for reality to continue. The moment that 3 seconds goes by without them picking their belly button and nothing changes would be impossible, because reality would be that they would need to do that if their belief was accurate. Their belief can be incorrect about reality.
You just explained yourself. You're right. These people who believed that if they didn't pick their belly button, the sun wouldn't rise. Once they stopped picking their belly button and the sun continued to rise, their belief was shattered.
Yes, as it should be.
And again, it's because that's their perception of reality. We don't know what
Perception of
reality
reality.
is.
Yes, you
Their
can have a different
perception
perception of
of
reality.
reality
I will accept
is
that as well.
different from anybody else's. So when you sit there and say, yo, yeah, this is what I understand to be factual, well, yeah, that's your perception of reality. And that could
Yep.
shatter at a moment's notice.
Oh yes,
Be humble
absolutely.
in what you're fucking experiencing, sir. That's all I'm saying. That's all I
Absolutely,
am
it could
saying.
be. The way that it happens is that it has to be testable and then it has to be refutable. If it
It could be
is
tested and refutable,
testable and
and at the
refutable,
same
and
end,
then it is
shattered.
tested and refuted, well, no, that's what I'm saying. In order for it to be a proper
Would you be
belief, in
acceptable?
order for it to
Okay,
be a
I
proper
think I
hypothesis,
think
it
I
has to
think
be testable and refutable.
I think a perfect example would be Neil deGrasse Tyson recently going up against people saying, "Look, they're saying that the COVID shots were not 100% what they were saying at the start of it." And this dude
Mhm.
was hell bent on just, no, you don't understand. We understand what this is, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit answers. Just 100% bullshit answers. He is in denial in the
Yes, he is.
fact that what they did was not in par with what normally they would have done in terms of vaccinations.
Yep.
And he is vehemently defending his perception of reality. Again, this is two different things, dude. This is what I'm talking about.
And Assassin of the Grey, it's important to be able to use hypothetical examples in order to demonstrate a point. Going after him for using hypothetical examples, a bullshit argument. He's using a hypothetical in order to illustrate a point. It's perfectly valid. He isn't trying to say that that is reality. He isn't trying to
What?
say that that is what's going on. He's
Oh, well,
using
you
an
know what?
example
Hold on. You
to
know what? No,
illustrate.
that's a carrot, sir. So assassin, congratulations on taking the bait. If you couldn't connect that logic point, I'm sorry. Oh, jeez. Look, I hate to say it, but this is just this is where we're at. Okay, you know this is. I understand what you're saying, sir. Okay, but we will continuously find ourselves in these logical loops if we just cannot accept the fact that one's perception of reality and how we interpret it, how we accept it, is different from another person's. And it's
Oh, I freely
always
admit that perception
fluid.
of
It's
reality is different.
always fluid. You cannot just, the moment you sit there and say no, we need to do this, that's where we get into the belly button lint, it lifts the sun from the fucking thing. Okay,
Perception of reality is
and I
absolutely
never said child sacrifices, you fucking asshole. um
perception of reality is absolutely something that every person has their own perception of reality.
exactly.
Because perception of reality is synonymous with belief to me.
And it's not reality, it's not solid, it's not a
It is
solid
not.
thing.
Yes, you agree with what I've been saying this entire time in that single sentence, that your perception of reality, that your belief in reality is not reality. These are two different things. A perception or belief of reality is not in and of itself reality.
That's not what you were arguing at the beginning.
Yes, it was. What I
No,
was
it
arguing,
wasn't.
yes, it was. Because what I was arguing is that reality is something that is not determined by your belief or determined by your perception of it. It is its own concrete standalone thing. Now, do we absolutely know beyond a shadow of a doubt what it is? Fuck no.
No, dude, you were sitting there fucking at the earliest ons of this fucking argument. You were sitting there saying that there's factual arguments, and you were sitting there saying that because we know this X, Y, and Z, that that's what we should be fucking establishing things on. And I'm sitting there saying, no, we should be sitting there looking at it and understanding that there are fucking differences in terms of context.
No, what I've
What are
been
you talking
saying,
about?
Adam, what I've been saying is that there's perception and belief of reality. And then there's reality. Do we know reality in its entirety? No. Do we know aspects of reality? Yes. And that's different. You don't have to know the whole thing in order to know aspects of it. So, the aspects of reality we should try to build on. The aspects that we know. So, things that we know, for instance, are the law of gravity is a good example. So, two masses attract each other.
Oh, Jesus. You know what, dude? I'm glad this has been recorded. So we can look back at this and laugh. Oh, jeez.
But yeah, two masses will attract each other. Now, the exact method that two masses will attract each other, we've had to argue about throughout history. We've had a bunch of different theories about why two masses attract each other. We've had Newtonian gravitational theory. We've had Einstein gravitational theory. Now we're trying to work on a gravitational theory. There's the gravitational theory associated with string theory. There's also a couple other gravitational theories that we're trying to figure out which of these gravitational theories is the most accurate. But the law that masses attract each other is a known factor.
I'm glad you went into this area, because this is exactly where I kind of spilled off on it in terms of Neil deGrasse Tyson being a stout of the science instead of being fluid in terms of altering his understanding of concepts that are coming at us. Like, this is again.
Well, no, what you were saying is that Neil deGrasse Tyson was not holding to his principle.
No, he was vehemently defending a bullshit stance, because he is vehemently defending a bullshit stance. Like, dude, this is what I'm saying.
Which was not holding to his principle, because you even said that this was not the approach that we would use in other situations for other instances, which means that it was not holding to a set stance. He was trying to... It's the idea between science and scientism. You're familiar with that distinction, right?
Yes, you're arguing in the case of ideology, dude.
So, for those who don't know the difference between science and scientism, is that science is the following of the scientific method. Scientism is belief in whatever a scientist says, because a scientist said it. Science is absolutely beautiful. Fucking love science. Scientism, I fucking hate.
Science offers questions and inquiries. Scientism is, no, this is what we decided is the answer.
Science
Sanguine,
offers questions.
That's 100% what you're doing, dude.
That was an incorrect
categorization.
That's an incorrect categorization. God. Science offers a means of asking questions and then experimenting to determine whether or not your hypothesis is correct.
Yes, and constantly keeping it fluid so it's always open
and constantly
towards
being
advancement.
Able to change it. Yes. Exactly.
And the other end is we establish a stance as to what we perceive
which
is
has
the science,
never been what I've fucking argued. You've tried to say that's what I've been arguing, and that is not what I've been arguing. I have not said that that's what I've been arguing. I've said that we do not know reality as a whole. We know certain aspects of reality, because as you start asking these questions, as you start experimenting to see whether these questions, whether an idea of what could be happening is more correct or less correct, and as you refine that more correct or less correct, it becomes ever smaller variations until effectively it's a completely static line, because you're defining the boundaries. And once you define a boundary, you still have to check to see whether your defined boundary is correct from time to time, but Once you have that defined boundary, and as long as it continues to prove that it is correct, then you can function with that boundary line, which is a boundary of reality. Because it isn't your opinion whether this is the case, it isn't your belief whether this is the case, it isn't your view of whether this is the case or not. You've tested it, many people have tested it, until you've reached a point where this has been defined into position.
And that exactly falls into what I was saying you were doing, is it goes right into, eventually it'll fall into a selective group of people who decide that this is where we should
That is
establish
where you
that the
fucked up.
thing is, and all of a sudden this is
That
where it
one line
ends,
is where you
as
fucked up. That it
opposed
was established group of people. No, no, sir, that is not what I'm saying. That is
as
never what I've ever said.
opposed to
Because
keeping
I've,
it open and fluid.
the most
That's where the
beautiful
issue
part,
comes from.
the most beautiful part of science is the fact that it doesn't matter who the fuck says it. What matters is it correct? My favorite example of this is an old school example, and I've told this story many times. I've told the story of the Fisher F test versus the student T test.
I'm more
Fisher
interested in the
F test.
fact that the
Fisher,
vaccines are now producing people with paralysis, and they're now looking at testing as to whether or not this is going on. Dude, this is what I'm talking about. This is when we sit there and say, like, all of a sudden we have a status quo as to what's going on. We
which
can't
is
accept that. We cannot accept that. We have to keep it open. And the fact that we sit there and say, you know what, but we're going to
okay.
allow
So,
a
Adam,
select group
let
of
me
people
ask a
to
question.
establish
Let
a
me
group.
ask a question. So, are you confusing the idea that there is some reality that we can find with the idea that there are only certain people that can determine the reality that we can find? Because those are
Uh,
two very different ideas.
no,
And you're
I
making an
think,
accusation about what I've been saying, which is incorrect every time that you make the accusation. But you continue to make that accusation.
okay, well, first off, what is the accusation that I'm making?
The accusation that you're making is that I'm claiming that there are certain people that are able to determine what reality is, and that the rest of us just have to rely on that, which is something that you've stated several times now.
I don't believe I've made that accusation. I believe
You
if
did
anything,
several
it
times
would be,
verbatim.
if anything, it would be more so that you are more accepting of the status quo with whatever the scientific community, if you want to, an organization or some sort of board of
Which
people
is
that,
also completely unjustified.
again, yeah, I'm trying to fucking make it a generic fucking
Don't make it
composition.
generic because you're talking about me. Make it specific.
Yes, a giant board of people who will sit there and say, "We are the science, and this is what you should be going upon, and this is what you would go upon." Yes,
Which is
I'm
something
saying
that
that
I've
you would
rejected
do that.
many times. So that
Okay,
is not a valid interpretation.
well, I re- I reject what I
You
said.
reject the reject. Okay, you reject what you said.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Because that was something that was pissing me off because it kept on being that I would say something and then you would say that I was saying the exact opposite of what I was saying.
if you are not of the belief that there is a if you are not of the belief that there is a board of people who are pushing a form of science and pharmaceuticals on the populace, uh, because of their belief in their
Well,
science,
now
yes, I reject that. Yeah, I reject
you're
that.
saying something that is different than what you said
That
that you
is
were
that no,
rejecting
that is
originally.
100% what I was conjecting.
Because
Um,
what you originally said, let me express what I heard you originally say. You can tell me that this is a misunderstanding on my part, in which case, my apologies. Or you can agree that this was what was originally being said. What was originally being said, from the sounds of it, was that you were saying that I was in favor of that. Not that there was this condition, because those are two different things. Saying that I'm in favor of it versus there is this condition. I do agree that there are people that are erroneously pushing for absolute horseshit. And I've said that many times.
Well, no, okay. Well, let's be honest. Yeah, this shadow fucking straw man board that I conjured. I would have said, yeah, I would have said you were in favor of it. From based on what you were saying, I would have said you were in favor of it. But I guess
That
if you
would
were
be
not in favor of it, I guess I am wrong, and I reject what I said. So there you go.
okay. It's good that you reject that, because that
Yeah.
is absolutely counter to everything that I've said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I was under the belief that, based on what you were saying, I was under the belief that you were 100% on board with these type of nefarious type of people, and apparently I was wrong. So there you go.
Because, yeah, the thing that I like about science, actual science, is it doesn't matter the provenance of the person who's advocating for something, the provenance of the person who's done the research. What matters is the research valid?
Hmm. And
And
we've
science is a methodology.
all come to
Anyone can do
learn
the methodology.
recently that there's a lot of people in the science that are not
Oh yeah, there's a lot of
by
people
any
that are
means nefarious
there are a lot
ways.
of people that are in science that aren't actually following science. There's a difference, because someone with a PhD is a scientist. There's a lot of scientists
Can
that
you at
push
least
absolute
admit?
horseshit.
Can you at least admit that there's a lot of people in these areas that are not looking out for the best interests of humankind?
I've done that many times, so yes, I can absolutely fucking do that.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. I mean, that's a step up beyond just, uh, I don't know. It's just personally I have
Can
a very hard time just accepting whatever they fucking say,
which
especially
I've at
when
no
you go
point
back
said
and
that
you
you
look
should.
and you see that they fucking renege on all of their bullshit way later. Oh
And
yeah, sorry,
Adam,
we didn't know that this
I've
had this issue. We didn't know that this caused this. Sorry.
I've at no
But we got to
point
trust them.
said that we need to trust them, or that we need to just take what they say, or that everyone that claims that they're a scientist is an actual scientist. I've pointed out scientific papers that I think are absolute horseshit. I can name them off the top of my head. There's 4 papers that I think are goddamn abominations, and everyone should have been brought up on charges for these 4 fucking papers. Then there's a bunch of things that I think were very poorly done science. There's a bunch of people that I think are just making up horse shit and trying to give it a veneer of respectability by claiming a title that they have absolutely no right to. I think that the method of come up with a hypothesis that is testable and refutable, and a test that is able to test that hypothesis is a valid means of approaching the truth. Now, anyone can do this, because you can right now test the hypothesis of masses attract each other. The null hypothesis would be masses don't attract each other, which means that you could separate 2 masses on the vertical plane, because the mass that you would end up having to use on Earth currently is Earth. There are certain scientific models that you can use, and you can do the experiments if you have tools that are able to sense the very slight attraction to determine the gravitational attraction between 2 masses, or between 2 masses that are not the Earth, and you'll be able to figure out the gravitational attraction of them. But when you're in the Earth's gravitational field is much greater than the gravitational field of, for instance, I have a thing of O'Keefe's working hands on my desk right now. So if I'm trying to determine the gravitational attraction between O'Keefe's working hands and the bottle of old-fashioned inspired ale from Open Gate Brewery Guinness, I would not be able to, with the equipment that I currently have, determine the attraction between the two. If I had the right setup, I could determine the attraction between the two. It's much easier for me to determine the attraction between O'Keefe's working hands and the Earth. So I could come up with a hypothesis that would be that masses attract. Then I could come up with the null hypothesis of masses don't attract. I could design an experiment to determine this. So the easiest experiment would be if masses do not attract, then if I raise this O'Keefe's working hands hand cream above the surface that it is currently on, and then I release it, it would not be attracted to the ground, which is another mass. The thing is, every time that I pick it up, the damn thing falls back down. It's a testable thing. Anyone can test this. You can even determine the exact rate that it is falling fairly easily. Every scientific experiment is something that can be replicated by anyone. Which is the beautiful thing about science, because science is the democratization of the ability to determine reality. Are there people that fuck it up? Yes. Are there people that say that they've done science when they haven't? Abso-fucking-lutely. Wakefield is a brilliant example of that. Seralini is a brilliant example of that. Dr. Money is a brilliant example of that. The Berlin, I can't say the word or else we'll get bopped on our backup channel, experiment is a brilliant example of that. But that does not mean that the scientific method is not the best way that we currently have available of determining the boundaries of reality.
I just hope more people use it.
Yes, same here. I absolutely hope that more people use it. I want more people to use it. I want more people to understand it, which is why I have a problem with education that I do. Because education does a piss poor job of explaining science and the scientific method. High school science is 90% rote fucking memorization. You shouldn't memorize the gravitational attraction of Earth and anything else. What you should do is you should have to do the experiment to figure out the gravitational rate on Earth. Because it's a very simple experiment that anyone can fucking do. And you'd be able to, rather than learn the way that we currently do, the gravitational attraction of the Earth, you would be able to objectively demonstrate the gravitational attraction of Earth. You would be able to find the gravitational attraction of Earth, which is far more important than being able to memorize 9.8 meters per second per second. Actually doing the experiment and finding out that it's 9.81 meters per second per second. Fuck yeah. I want people to do science. I want everyone to do science. This is the reason why, like I said, my favorite bit of science and statistical history is the Fisher F test versus the student T test, because Fisher was a well-known statistician that used all of his prestige and all of his renown to push for statistical analysis that he called the F test, because he was a vain son of a bitch, and F stood for Fisher. So it was the Fisher's Fisher test, or Fisher's F test. Then there was another person who realized that there was a problem with the F test. And he realized what the problem was. And he designed a better test that fixed the problem with the F test. And what he did was he published a paper. Without publishing his name, he was an absolute goddamn nobody. No one knew this guy's name, but he published it under student because he was a student of statistics. He didn't give a shit what his name was, and in fact, he was trying to hide his name because he was worried about being fired from the Guinness Brewery. Because it was a Guinness brewer that was on the quality control of Guinness that decided that he would dick around with his real passion, statistics, while on the job. So he spent enough time dicking around with the statistics using the Fisher F test that he realized that there was a problem. So then he dicked around even more until he figured out how to fix the problem. Then he published the new calculation that corrected the issue with the Fisher F test as the student T test. And the result was, when he published this, the scientific and statistical community went, this seems fucking weird. Let's see if it actually works. And it worked. And Fisher spent a hell of a lot of money, a hell of a lot of time trying to come up with ways that the student T test would fail. And he failed time and time again until it reached a point where even Fisher was forced to go, oh shit, I think this test is actually right. Because he was bludgeoned down by the force of being unable to disprove it. And that's when science is at its best. I fucking hate the scientific consensus and the idea of the scientific consensus because everyone fucking leaves out the most important word of the scientific consensus. The most important word of the scientific consensus, for those who don't know, is begrudging. It is the begrudging scientific consensus. It is when everyone really doesn't want to agree that something is correct. They want to be able to disprove it, and they've tried time and time and time again to disprove this fucking idea because they don't like it. They don't want it to be right. They want this asshole to be wrong, and they want to prove this asshole is wrong. But because they have tried time and again, and they've reached the point where they have run out of ideas on how to disprove this idea, they've been forced to go, fuck, it's probably right. That is when the scientific consensus matters. The scientific consensus only matters when it's the begrudging scientific consensus, when it is only the result of people time and time again trying to disprove each other. And by their attempts to disprove and their failures to disprove, coming closer to the reality that we do not yet know, though we know some boundaries of.
I mean, we're not going to agree, and I'm not going to say anything to continue the discussion. I can't.
Fair enough. It's time to end anyways. Fuck it.
Ugh.
Parting words.
It's fucking. That was a crazy. To be honest, I was expecting that kind of conversation. Not gonna say that. I mean, I hope it wasn't coming off too aggressive. I kind of enjoyed it. It was a fun discussion, to be honest.
I have fun with discussions like this all the time.
And
the only thing that got me slightly annoyed was when it sounded like you were saying things I wasn't.
The accusation. Yeah, no, yeah, I understand that. And also with assassin. I hope it didn't come across as a gruff to you, sir. I meant no harm, no foul to anybody. I guess to say. Yeah. But shit, I felt I guess I kind of let loose because we're on the
The side
the
channel.
the side channel, the Goofy channel. So who
Yep.
knows if anybody will see this? Ah, jeez.
I kind of hope that they look at that last part, because that last part is something that I feel very passionate about. That
Well, yeah.
people need to employ the scientific method. It's important to employ it rightly. And the story of the Fisher F test and the student T test is one of the most beautiful moments in science, because it didn't fucking matter who this person was. People did not know his name. They didn't know his pedigree. They didn't know fucking anything other than this asshole called himself student, and turns out that the fucker's right about what he's saying. God damn it. So it became the primary test. And that's the glorious thing. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter anything. What matters is what you're saying, at the very least, more correct than what was being said prior. When science is at its best, that's how it functions. There's a lot of science that doesn't function that way anymore. They'll choose whether or not they're going to give something its moment to be experimented on, its moment to be heard, which is why there have been so many fucking... We faked a psychological paper, and yeah, it turns out that it was entirely accepted. And not only did we do this once, but we did this a couple hundred times, and no one caught us on faking research, which that should be something that everyone catches. The moment that you submit the paper, they should be able to look at the paper and go, this is bullshit. And if they aren't able to catch it when they first look at it, they should catch it when they try to replicate your shit.
Or just pay a whole committee to say that it's acceptable and just move on.
Which is Mickey Mouse scientific journals, which I fucking hate. Yeah, that's what happens a hell of a lot. And that is important.
I will say, for my parting words, thanks for letting me join. Holy shit, Friday the 13th. And look at what we did. I guess it's fitting. But like I said, I had fun conversation. I had a lot of fun chatting with this. And don't let anybody in the audience. We weren't arguing. We don't hate each other. We don't, just it's a good, healthy conversation. This is natural. Okay.
Yep.
It's normal.
You should be able to argue with someone and then go, hey, want to get a beer?
Well, I was gonna ask you if you can cook me a steak.
Oh, I see how it is. Are you at least gonna pay for the steak?
I'll get you the steak and I'll buy
There
you a beer. But I can't cook a steak as you can. So I mean, I can cook a steak if. Well, she's not watching. Never mind. But
now,
yeah,
why do I feel like you're going to at some point go, Sanguine? Can you?
Dude, you're gonna have to teach me at some point.
Can you come over here and cook a steak? I told someone I can make a steak. They're coming over. I need a fucking steak. That will just wow them. Can you handle this shit for me?
And it's gonna become a whole thing where it's gonna be like I'm gonna be going back and forth between the kitchen, and so they're trying to figure out how to. No, yeah, I'm definitely getting the right sear for you. What the fuck is a sear? Shit.
I'll just be standing there cooking the steak, just trying to be as silent, writing everything down so you can say what the fuck you need to say. Okay, look at that. Okay, let me flip this fucker.
Oh no. Oh shit. We're still live. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah, no, yeah. Steamed hams. Yes. Exactly. The Aurora Borealis.
Do you have anything else to add to your parting words, or shall I give mine?
No, you go ahead, sir.
So I'll leave off with my standard of, if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Night.
There we go. I was about to say, this is when you say goodbye, Adam. God damn it. Good night, all.